Hey peeps, it's Tripl-L, and today I'm here to bring you trivia on Pokemon. And in this video we're gonna cover some maybe 10 Gen 1 Pokemon you probably wouldn't want anywhere near your house. So let's talk about it. Pokemon are dangerous. I mean, these are monsters who at their pinnacle can create universes and manipulate time. So it's really no wonder that some Pokemon are capable of the simple act of breaking your stuff. I mean, really, most Pokemon can fire a beam of pure energy. If Pokemon were a more serious game, there would be holes in most Elite Four rooms due to misfired hyper beams. But I digress. Let's get into Pokemon who are actually known for being destructive and racking up repair bills, like Pokemon that people actively try to avoid. Starting it off with Raticate. Raticate in particular is known to chew through concrete buildings. This is not a Pokemon you want anywhere near your house or your apartment. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to be sleeping and all of a sudden your whole house comes down because a Raticate just chose to go and eat through your concrete beams? Yeah, you're probably dead. But why does Raticate do this? Well, Raticate kind of has a reason, but it's a hardwired reason, it's a biological reason. See, Raticate has giant fangs, and to keep them even, you gotta keep it pretty, it needs to chew on things that are particularly tough, like rocks and logs, and eventually the walls of houses. What's worse, Raticate's also exceedingly violent, which means if you piss it off and you try to hide in your bunker, it's probably gonna take that as a challenge and totally pursue you. Let's move away from the oversized rat and talk about a more Pokemon-y Pokemon, Nidoking. Yeah, Nidoking's packing a lot under the hood. I mean, it looks like a monster of a beast, and it has a lot of poison in that horn. But that isn't what makes Nidoking so property damage friendly. No, Nidoking has a giant tail, and apparently this happens enough that it's become documented in the Pokedex that Nidoking's tail can topple over a metal transmission tower, like one of these things. And what's worse is Nidoking has a habit of rampaging. So the fact that this Pokemon happens to rampage where there are metal transmission towers, so much so that it becomes a problem and people actually document it, that's pretty scary. Like, its tail can also snap a telephone pole as if it were a matchstick. Could you imagine what would happen if you were to take a direct hit from that tail? The big question we have to ask though is, how is Tail Whip non-damaging when this thing's tail can destroy telephone poles? Well, that's terrifying. Let's move to a slightly less terrifying property damaging Pokemon, Digtrio. See, Digtrio can move 60 miles per hour underground. He likes to burrow. He really likes to go fast. Unfortunately, that means he triggers a lot of earthquakes, and actually thinking about it, earthquakes are horrific. They can kill multiple people in one go. Yeah, actually, this is more terrifying than the Nidoking, because at least the Nidoking, I can run away. If I'm in a crowd of 5 people, if I'm the fastest one, that Nidoking's going to take out at least 2 other people before he gets to me. An earthquake is more like, I have to hope I'm not in the way of a falling building. Anyway, yeah, an earthquake, a Digtrio in a major city and causing an earthquake, that's not a good thing. Okay, let's try again. Let's go to a less scary Pokemon. And here we have Cadabra. So Cadabra is a psychic type. You're wondering how does this mess with people? Does it deal with something? Well, actually, Cadabra is so psychic that it emits so many psychic waves that it causes machines to malfunction. Not very scary when it comes to the spectrum of property damage, but it's actually probably the most terrifying things for most people born after 2000. Can you imagine one of these things just walking into your house and frying all of your electronics? I think that'd be funny. But the good thing is, at least Cadabra can control it because, well, I'm assuming it could control it. But I think it would be funny if a Cadabra was just to fry the one kid's iPad just because it was being annoying. Now, keeping with the theme of anti-technology, let's move on to the next pair of Pokemon, Magnemite and Magneton. Magnemite in particular is dangerous because if it gets to your circuit breaker, it's gonna sap all the power out of your house. You're gonna be pretty much frying all your electronics. It's just gonna, you might have to replace that circuit breaker. Also, because of the power outages going on and the fact that Magnemite's causing a power outage, you could probably assume that you're gonna break a lot of stuff as you make your way down to your circuit breaker. As for Magneton, it's way more in line with Cadabra. Magneton will just flat out fry every electronic in place. Like, it's actually so terrifying that in the Pokemon universe, it's established that if a Magneton swarm is coming to the city, there are going to be sirens, there's going to be alarms, everyone's going to be making a hoopla about it because let's face it, a Magneton is pretty much a walking EMP. Again, probably the most terrifying things for this generation of internet users. A list about Pokemon that cause property damage can't be complete without a Pokemon known for exploding. And we're talking about Electrode. So here's the thing, Electrode doesn't directly destroy stuff, but here's what we know about Electrode's habits. 1, it likes visiting power plants, and 2, it likes exploding when it's absorbed or ate too much electricity. So really, when you have a power plant and an Electrode, you know, the conclusion is pretty there. It's going to explode, and most likely that's going to cost the city hundreds of thousands of Pokédollars. But hey, at least Electrode's having fun. Moving on to another Pokemon that might not be having fun but might feel compelled to do his destructive habits anyway, Rhyhorn. So here's the thing, Rhyhorn likes to topple buildings. It's known for toppling buildings. But the problem and kind of the tragedy here is that Rhyhorn has a very small brain. The Pokédex makes a big mention of this. And what really gets to me is that this is property damage with a purpose. This Rhyhorn is going and breaking people's buildings because it wants to remember something. That's just sad. I'm okay paying a giant bill for having, I don't know, my garage wall caved in because of Rhyhorn just, you know, it forgot where to go to the bathroom. That's unfortunate, you know. I'm okay with that one. But we've been talking a lot about buildings. What about other Pokemon? What about other kind of property? Well, here we have Sidra. Sidra in particular, you know, it's a pretty cool Pokemon. It's even used for medicine and stuff. But who would have thought that this Pokemon, when it gets hungry, it might end up sinking a lot of fishing boats. Sidra will cause whirlpools, and whirlpools, well, it's not really cognizant of where fishermen boats are. So usually, if a fisherman boat gets caught in a Sidra's whirlpool, well, it's effectively what happens in the Wind Waker. You're going to get sucked to the middle and you're most likely going to lose that boat. I don't know how much that boat cost you, but that was probably a pretty penny. Probably more than you can make by battling a bunch of trainers on Nugget Bridge. And finally, guys, this list will not be complete without the most famous Pokemon. The Pokemon famous for being angry all the time. How could I not mention this Pokemon? Gyarados. Okay, but here's the problem with Gyarados. We all know that if a Gyarados gets mad, like, it's gonna break stuff. In fact, the Pokédex will specifically say it will destroy a city. Like, most times, if a Gyarados gets angry, there's gonna be nothing left of whatever it decided to take its anger out on. But what's worse here is that Gyarados is known for doing this for centuries. I imagine that the insurance companies in the Pokemon world don't even bother covering Gyarados damages, because if this has been going on for eons, since the time of ancient cities, and this Gyarados has not been hunted to extinction to prevent these things from still happening in modern day, it probably means Gyarados is super terrifying and no one's going to do anything about it, and they just accept it as they would accept an earthquake or a hurricane. And that is terrifying. We all know Gyarados is terrifying, but like, really destroying an entire city, that's a lot of damage. I mean, electronics, boats, houses, everything's gone. Life, but you know, this isn't a video about Pokemon that take life, but you could assume that because it's one entry says it incinerates everything in its way, you could probably assume that's a thing too. Anyway, peeps, that's it. 10 Pokemon who cause property damage. This list of 10 Pokemon who causes property damage. Do you feel more educated? Like, it's terrifying, especially for like Pokemon like Gyarados, who specifically have been doing it for eons, and then there's Pokemon like Rhyhorn who kind of have to do it if they want to have a normal functioning life. I mean, can you imagine how sad it would be if you forget everything and the only way to remember it is to demolish a wall or bang your head against a wall? That's unfortunate. Anyway, peeps, thanks for watching. Let me know if you liked the video, and let me know if you found any of this funny. Let me know if there's any other Pokemon videos you'd like to see me do. Anyway, guys, till next time, I really hope you have a great day.